Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes, and this is just a little vlog discussion video, pretty informal, which I think is hopefully how I'll keep them. Most of my videos are pretty informal, I think. Just first of all, I want to do a thank you, talk a little bit about me, how I do readings, and answer some of your questions and address some of the comments people have left. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who has left me comments and emailed me about things they'd like me to talk about in these vlogs and discussion videos. Thank you so much. You can continue to leave suggestions either in the YouTube comments, but keep in mind sometimes all the comments don't come through. I can see the number of comments, but when I go to check them, there aren't as many as that. So I think it's a little YouTube glitch. Or you can email me, and my email is in the description box below. And also thank you everyone who views my videos, shares my videos, subscribes to my channel. It is quite amazing. My channel is completely organic, so it does grow a little bit slower than a lot of other channels out there. But I want to keep it real. I want the views to be real. I want the subscribers to be real. So I really appreciate it. So I hit over 1 million views and I have over 11,000 subscribers, which I never imagined when I started this channel. And that's one of the questions I want to address is why did I start this YouTube channel? And it never was like in my goals or in my plans, but I think it was January 2014, I kind of put it out there to the universe. How can I expand what I do? How can I reach more people? How can I help more people? And I kept hearing in my head, start making videos, start making videos. And I thought, what? I don't know how to do that. It seems a little scary. It's very exposed. And I just sat with it. And for about 6 months, I believe, I sat with it and I kept hearing, start making videos, start making videos. And I was like, okay, I will start making videos. And so I started this YouTube channel. It was a very slow start that first half year. So it almost took a whole year for me to really commit to it. And so beginning of 2015 was really when I started really committing to doing the regular YouTube videos. And that's because I saw how I could reach so many people. And I saw how I can expand what I do and help more people and give, hopefully some insight, some guidance that will help people through their challenges in their everyday life. So that's why I started this YouTube channel. So it does surprise me that I've had so many views and so many subscribers. It is quite amazing. So thank you all of you out there. And I really appreciate that you do share the videos and, share one that you feel will help a friend or help a family member, or whatever you feel compelled to share. So I really appreciate that. So thank you. A little more about me, besides why I started this YouTube channel. So I do have an About Me page on my main website and blog, peacockseyes.com, which you can read. But just a little about me as a reader. I received my first tarot deck. It was a gift in 1996, so 20 years ago. And I remember looking at it and it was just like flooded with information and I didn't know what to do with it. But it triggered something in me to start reading about the cards and studying the cards and what does this card mean? What does that card mean? What is all this? That was my start to tarot. My interest in astrology I have had as far back as I can remember, going back to when I was a little girl. I was just fascinated by reading horoscopes. Even when I was in college, I would read astrology books instead of my studies. Not that I avoided my studies, but if I needed a break from that, I would look at astrology. And so that fascination has always been there. I was introduced to Vedic astrology, I believe in 2004, and that really resonated with me. Though I do practice both Vedic and Western astrology. Both systems are fascinating in their own ways. So that was my start in astrology, and I just have continued to study and practice and learn. And it is a lifetime process, especially the astrology. It's just endless. Okay. What else do I want to say there? I guess from there I'll go on to talking about how I do readings. So I have occasionally people comment saying, I read the cards differently. It's not what a card usually means, and that happens. So there's two ways to read cards, and often, for me at least, it's a combination of the two. There's what I call textbook read of the cards, which would be this card means this number means this. So for example, I have the Magician card from the Rider-Waite deck here. And magicians represent new beginnings. The magician himself is about, this card represents learning new skills, developing your skills, having the skills. There's also the trickster energy that the magician can represent. But then there's also an intuitive read. And sometimes the intuitive read depends on what image in the card I am drawn to. And even now, after 20 years of studying and practicing tarot, sometimes I'm drawn to a picture on a card, even in the Rider-Waite deck, which was the first deck. This is my third Rider-Waite deck, but I'll be drawn to something in the card that I have never noticed before. And I trust that draw to an image. So it may be in a reading, a personal reading, or a general reading where I pull the magician and I'm focused on the flowers, the lilies and the roses. And I may be drawn to talk about finding balance between your passions and doing the right thing. And sometimes a message may come through that seems to not fit any textbook meaning of a card, but that's the message that's channeled through. So for me, the intuitive information that comes in, and sometimes it comes in clairvoyantly. Sometimes I see words in my head. Sometimes I see images. Sometimes I'm drawn to a certain image on a card. Sometimes I may have like a picture in my head or a memory that pops up that is a key piece of information. So whatever the experience of that memory was is information. I may get a feeling in my body, a sensation, or an emotion pop up. So for me, it's a combination of the standard textbook meaning of a card and the intuitive read. But I will say it probably weighs more on the intuitive read of the card when I do readings. And I understand that can be difficult for people who are trying to learn cards. And I would say if you're learning cards, do study the textbook meaning. Read books on it. Practice, practice, practice. And the more you do, as that information just becomes normal, like, oh yeah, magician means new beginnings, and then it's like, you know it, then the intuitive information can flow more freely. But I do suggest, learn it academically first. So you have that there. And you don't have to be like, oh, what does this card mean? Instead of like, oh, this means this, but I'm really drawn to this message. And the intuitive messages start to flow, however it flows through you. Okay. Another thing that comes up occasionally in comments, and actually someone commented this morning, they seem to really not understand how I did readings. And the commenter said something along the lines of I seem to not be there or something like that, which is somewhat true. So if I'm channeling information, I am somewhat in a meditative state when doing readings, both personal and the general readings. I am like a channel, a conduit for the information to come through. So I, Julianne Victoria, have to be in a somewhat detached state in order to convey the information to you unbiased, without my personal opinion thrown in, or maybe a judgment might come up. I try not to be judgmental, of course, but I have to be detached. The reading can't be about me being the reader for you. The reading has to be about the messages that come through for the person that I'm reading for. And that leads me to another thing I want to talk about, is what are tarot cards? Or what is an astrology chart? What are oracle cards? What are runes? What are crystals? They are tools. So these are just tools to help me as the reader to receive information, to convey to the person I'm reading for. So tarot cards don't control our lives. Astrology, our natal charts don't control our lives. They, any other sort of tool, those tools don't control our lives. They provide us with information of the energies occurring at this moment in time, of energies that are strongly in play, that may manifest, and tools to find advice and guidance from our higher selves, our souls, from the divine, from the universe, from the Akashic records, however you want to put the label on that intangible source. And along that note, we always have free will. So let's say in a reading, let's say someone has a really good reading, really happy reading, and all the really awesome cards come up, like 9 of Cups and the Sun card, and all these great cards come up. And the same, let's say someone has a really challenging reading, and the 3 of Swords pops up, and the 9 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords, and the Tower, and it's like, oh my gosh. In both cases, in either case, those energies can be altered by the choices of the person receiving the reading. By your choices, let's say for the happy reading, the awesome happy reading, that's like the perfect reading everyone wants. As long as the energies stay the same, that information is likely to play out. So that energy, those intentions that are out there are likely to manifest because they're kind of there. But you can make a choice to be angry and bitter about something instead, to not follow some advice that may come up in the cards, and that can kind of alter that happy reading a little bit. Conversely, on a really, dreadful, bad reading, the kind nobody wants, your attitude, your ability to be receptive to the advice, to be open to do some healing, your readiness to face the challenges can also alter the energies and how it manifests. So things may turn out better. Things may not be as bad as you thought. And it's all dependent on the choices and the action of the person receiving the reading. And so the tarot, the messages that come through astrology or any other means, the most important thing is to listen to the advice that comes through. And I guess it's up to you to heed the advice. Okay, so let's say, this challenging reading came up. Oh, that's terrible. You can choose to just be depressed about it and say, oh, my life is miserable. It's doomed. And because you're putting that energy out there, it's likely to play out. Or you can say, oh, okay, I have these challenges coming up. But in the reading, so-and-so, whether it's me or someone else you get a reading from, said, if you focus on, let's say, a gratitude practice, things will get better and better things will come in. And you choose to do that. That will alter things to come out better. Sometimes the challenges you must face for your personal growth, but if your attitude, your state of being is shifted, or you could say elevated, as you face those, and doesn't mean you'll be perfect every moment of every day, it can shift that energy and you will start to see the light or the positive changes or the positive that is coming from that. Okay. Just looking at my questions here. Oh, and I do want to talk about listening to general readings, like on YouTube. I'm assuming most people who watch my videos also watch other readers, which is totally fine. And I actually think it's really good. When you're listening to general readings, I think it is important because they are general readings. They couldn't possibly apply to every, let's say, Sagittarius watching that video. It doesn't make sense. It couldn't. It's illogical. It's usually my response. It's like illogical to assume that reading will apply exactly in all details to every Sagittarius. But what you can do when you listen to general readings is maybe make notes mentally or on paper, what word, what sentence, or what few things, if there's more than one thing, really resonate with you. And as you watch, whatever your key readers are out on YouTube, whether it's a few or whether you watch dozens. And I think it's helpful, this is where writing it down helps, is you write down the words that resonate and then look it over. And what is the common denominator or common denominators? It's more likely to be one strong thing, especially like in a monthly reading, it's short term. But it could be a few things sometimes. What is the common denominator? What is a common word that all those readers said, or type of advice, or message that came through? Then that is likely the main message for you. So go with what resonates, that is repeated, that feels strongest. And I do recommend listen to a few readers, ones that resonate with you. And sometimes what happens is you may be drawn to listen to another reader that you never listened to before. Or, I've been told this a few times, like I just magically popped up on someone's recommended page on YouTube and they saw me and they loved it. So, if a new reader magically pops up, just think, oh, well, let me listen to that and see if it resonates. It may not. And if it does, then maybe that's a new reader that you can listen to regularly, along with, whatever your core group of readers on YouTube are, to get the common denominator message for you each month or each week or each year, however often they do readings. Okay, I hope that's helpful for listening to general readings. Okay, that covers most of my questions. So another question is, why do I use different decks? And there's kind of a few reasons. I used to only have like 3 or 4 decks, but over the past year and a half, I've kind of become a card collector. And that's because what I do, so some people donate to my channel or they donate through my website, peacockseyes.com, and I really appreciate those donations. I put that money back into the business, basically. So I put that money back into, usually it's purchasing new decks, because a new deck costs, I don't know, around $35, $40 for the most part. And most donations are like $5 or so. That's probably the average here and there. So it's actually, it kind of works well that I can take that, purchase new decks, so I can show you guys out there different types of decks. It's also a challenge for me to use new decks, especially if I purchase one where I think, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this, but it's very interesting. I saw someone do a reading with this deck. I'll purchase it and see what it's like. So I guess they're sort of like deck reviews, even though they're not technically review videos. But it is so you guys can see what else is out there. And, I've gotten ideas about decks by watching other videos, so that can be helpful. And then I like the challenge of it, especially, for example, one of the decks I have here that I will talk about is the Tarot of the New Vision, that backwards deck, the deck where all the scenes are from the opposite viewpoint. I thought it was fascinating, and I actually have another deck that's similar that's been on back order for a while coming in, so hopefully that will be here soon. And when I first received the deck, I thought, I don't know if I could do personal readings with this, because it is sort of the behind the scenes information and it's very deep. It can be very intense. And I used this deck, I believe, for my October monthly Taroscopes, and I used it for the weeklies for a few weeks in there. And I may use it for this coming week's weekly. And as I used it more and more, I got more comfortable with it. And I actually really like the deck now. So again, I use different decks. One, because I appreciate the donations you guys give and I put it back in the business, and I want to give that back to you by showing you new decks. In case, you've been looking for 1 or 2 decks and you don't know what to get, you can see different decks out there. And that's another good reason to watch, a handful of readers or have a core group of readers, is to see what other decks are out there. Because if you're looking for a deck and you want to start studying tarot, you want to pick a deck that you're drawn to, that resonates with you on some level. And as you get comfortable with studying tarot and doing readings, then you can, try a challenging deck, one that's very different. Okay. Okay, that covers my questions here. Okay, so this is my newest vlog. Yeah, let me know if this was helpful to you guys. If you guys are, any of you listening, are interested in learning tarot, I actually put a tarot course together, which is on my YouTube channel. I'll link to the playlist below. It's like the whole course itself, I think, is like $10, but it's broken down into 5 videos. But I'm actually in the process of redeveloping that into a better format that's part written, part video. So I don't know when that will be out, but I'll let you guys know. But do let me know what other questions you may have, what other suggestions for vlogs and discussion videos. I have a long list here, so again, thank you everyone who submitted. I will try to do one of these about once a week or so. Yeah, about that. I do have to feel inspired to do these. I can't just say, oh, I got to do it today and force myself to do it. It's a little challenging for me to do that. I have to feel inspired. And usually I'm pretty inspired, but I have a lot of creative projects going on, so my energy has to be good for doing it. Okay, so thank you again, everyone. And yeah, looking forward to doing more of these for you. Thank you.